In this video we will see how to create positive and negative pins for this model using Calipers Master, and creating temporary scales to simplify the task. You can download the model, and join the contest to win awesome prizes on Pinshape.com. Click in the contest link and download the Makertron Core Design model from here. There is included this image with all the design specifications we should consider when building our pins. So 10 mm for arms and legs, and 7.5 mm for the neck. Let's start importing the core model. Now let's take some measurements of the keys in the original model scale. Notice I am not creating or using any Calipers Master scale yet, because I want to measure using the original scale imported. In this case, the resulting diameter of the arm pinhole is 10.27 units. So as this model was originally created in millimeter scale, this are 10.27 millimeters. But let's double check using NetFab. This arm pinhole gives me 10.26 millimeters in diameter. So the 10.27 millimeters the calipers gave me before is actually an accurate distance. Here we can see that the design specifications is asking for 10 millimeters diameter in this pinhole, but it is originally slightly bigger than expected. This is not a problem when using Calipers Master. We can always match the pinhole size regardless of if it is 10 or 10.27 millimeters, or any unknown size. Let's start creating a caliper that represents the total height of the object we want to append in that size. In this case we have the caliper representing the diameter of the arm pinhole. For this example I will enter 10 in the initial value, and press custom millimeters to create the temporary scale. Now we can append the cylinder we will use as the arm pin. Let's rotate it 90 degrees to put it in the desired position. Once placed, we can create the caliper that represents its diameter. Now I will enter a value of 10 in the appending size, because is the same value I entered before when creating the scale. Then by pressing Append in Size button we will get the cylinder appended in 10 mm diameter as expected. Let's place it in the right position using the transparency view. We can also rename it as Arm Pin Negative for better tools organization. Okay, so now let's create a new cylinder but 2% smaller for the positive arm pin. We want to create it a bit smaller, because it will help us in the assembly process after printed. So let's see how we can use calipers to create a copy of the cylinder, but 2% smaller. First, as usual, we have to create a caliper representing the cylinder's diameter. Now let's create a new scale of 10 mm but this time with 2% of shrinkage. Okay, so now the scale has been modified temporarily, and if we check the negative pin it is now 10.2 mm instead of 10. Which means we have increased the scale by 2%. By doing this temporary increase in the scale we can now append a 10 mm copy of the cylinder. Set a value of 10 in the appending size slider and press Append in Size. Let's put the cylinder in place. and as we can see it is now 2% smaller than the -1. Let's rename it as arm pin positive. Now we can restore back to our original scale, to measure and check again the new pins added. Press Restore Original Scale button. And now we are in the same scale as when the torso was imported. Let's check the negative pin using height in Y mode. It is 10.27 mm, as it was in the original imported model. But to show better the 2% shrinkage, we will change again this scale, and force the diameter to be 10 mm as the design specifications. Enter a 10 in the initial scale value. Then press Custom Millimeters button. Now this negative pin is 10 mm diameter. Let's check the positive one. And it is 9.8 mm, so it is exactly 2% smaller than the -1. So we might conclude that using Calipers Master offers the possibility to create scales temporarily, to simplify the task of appending in the desired size. Also, we don't need to use the specification sizes, because as long as we can represent the distance with a caliper, we can always append an object matching that caliper size. Let's repeat the whole process, but now for the neck pins. First, we need to set the temporary scale loose for the neck diameter. We could use the 7.5 mm given in the design specifications, but I want to show you another way, to make it more simple and useful for any size. So let's enter a temp scale value of 1 mm for this neck diameter. So now the neck hole is 1 mm instead of 7.5. Okay, now let's append a cylinder, and create a caliper to represent its diameter. Great, now we can use the appending size slider. Remember, we are now using 1 mm as neck. So let's add one in the appending size slider and press Append in Size button. And that's it, we now have our cylinder in the exact same size as the neck pinhole. Let's put it in place. Okay, so let's repeat the shrinkage process we saw before, to create the positive pin for the neck. Remember, we are using temp scales, so we can set any initial value we wish for any part that helps us to do the appending process in size. In this case, we want the same neck pin but 2% smaller as before. Let's create a caliper to represent the diameter of the neck pin. Now let's use a value of 1 and 2% of shrinkage. Then press Custom Millimeters. The new temp scale has been increased by 2%. We can check that the neck pin now is 1.02 mm instead of 1 mm. So we want to append a copy of the negative but in 1 mm. All we need to do is just set the appending size to 1 and press Append in Size button. So now the resulting pin is 2% smaller than the original one. So using a temporary scale value of 1 and thanks to the shrinkage feature, we don't need to make any tedious calculations. If we are happy with the parts created, and we want to export the object, make sure to restore the original scale. Hope you have enjoyed the video and good luck in the contest. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, or join our Calipers Master Users group on Facebook. See you on next video. Thanks for watching.